Let's get you more on this verdict, which is expected this Friday. Daniel Hawkins is in Moscow for us. Daniel, we understand the charges include inciting extremism and financing it. What more do we know about the charges levelled at Alexei Navalny?
Well, these charges, of course, are extremely serious. They relate to Navalny's activities as part of his anti-corruption fund. He set up a network of these offices across the country, which he said were fighting and highlighting extreme corruption and other nefarious activity within the Russian government, within the Russian elites. Those organizations, those offices were shut down in 2021. They were branded as extremist and banned in Russia. And those activities are what these charges relate to. Financing, raising funds to finance extremism, involving minors in criminal activity, public calls for extremism, extremely serious charges under Russian law. Now, Russian state prosecutors, as you say, have requested 20 years behind bars in a maximum security jail, even higher security than Navalny is in now, usually reserved for very serious, very dangerous criminals in Russia. What's more concerning for Navalny, of course, and his supporters is these reports of a further terrorism charge leveled against this Navalny as an opposition figurehead. These reports emerged several months ago. We don't know what those details are, but according to Navalny and media reports, they relate potentially to the killing of Vladimir Putin, a military blogger in St. Petersburg, the people behind which allegedly had links to Navalny's anti-corruption fund. So whatever the outcome, of course, today in this Moscow court, it is almost certain Navalny will spend a very long time behind bars because there could be more charges potentially leveled against him in the weeks and months to come.
What are people saying about this case where you are? How much attention is this garnering, Daniel?
Well, it's worth noting, of course, as you say, Navalny is already spending over a decade in prison on those charges of large-scale fraud, violating his parole. Navalny and his supporters in Russia say these charges are political, they're trumped up, designed to keep him out of the public eye, out of public life, and to stop him highlighting these allegations of corruption within the Russian government. That's not how the Kremlin views it, of course. They view him as a very dangerous man, a Western-backed agent that's seeking to destabilize and destroy Russia. Polls over the last couple of years have shown among the Russian population largely an indifference to Navalny and to his organization. His popularity has dropped, and this is according to independent polling organizations. The media today is largely silent on this case. They're focusing very much on other stories, Russian foreign policy, for instance. And the very fact this case is being held on paper in a Moscow court, but physically hundreds of miles away from Moscow in this colony, indicates that authorities are seeking to keep this out of the public eye. Navalny himself has said he's expecting what he calls a Stalinist sentence. He's quoted a figure of 18 years. And we have to remember his associates as well, Lilia Chernysheva, Rustem Milyukov. They were sentenced earlier this year on similar charges, receiving 7.5 and 2.5 years in prison, respectively, on quite similar accusations. Navalny has accused Russian authorities of what he says jailing hundreds to frighten millions. That's the view certainly from Navalny's supporters, that these charges and these convictions are designed to keep people afraid, to keep them off the streets, to keep them from questioning foreign policy, the Russian policy. As I said, that's certainly not the view the Kremlin takes of Navalny. We're expecting to hear that verdict sometime in the next few hours from Moscow. We'll give you that information as it comes through.
All right, Daniel, keeping us up to date from Moscow. Thank you.